have to learn grammar to speak good English? Have to is a very strong word here. And of course, the answer is no, because there are plenty of examples of people who don't even read and write, and they have learned to speak good English. But is that the case for everyone? Okay, admittedly, some people get it. They do grammar, they get it, they apply it, they speak good English. But is that the case for you? Does grammar help you speak better English? For a lot of people, grammar is a drag. It's abstract, it's complicated, and when it comes to speaking, some people really overthink things. Something like this. I mustn't to went to the park yesterday. Oh no. I don't had to go to the park. I don't had to went to the park yesterday. Oh, it's like grammar is making their spoken English worse. It fills their words with doubt. In today's video, you don't have to learn the grammar if you learn the chunk. It's easier to practice spoken English with chunks, and you can make lots and lots of different sentences. Chunks make it easier to see patterns in English. And basically, that's what grammar is, seeing patterns. Why use chunks? The beauty of chunks is that they contain the grammar. The grammar is already in the chunk. Let's look at the following. I didn't have to. Not a very complicated chunk, but learners commonly make the following mistakes with it. These are some of the mistakes that I've heard. I mustn't to, I hadn't to, I don't have to, I didn't have to. And the chunk is I didn't have to. If you learn this by grammar, this is the kind of thing you might have to undergo. I have to. To negate this, you need to add an auxiliary verb. In this case, didn't. Because you use an auxiliary verb, the had to changes from the past simple version of the verb to the base form. Had to, have to. I didn't have to. The to in have to is something called an infinitive particle. That is different to a preposition. And that's a very important piece of information because it affects what comes after it. All right, now to another chunk. I'm addicted to. So here we got be plus adjective plus preposition. Okay, in this case, we're using the subject I. So I and be, if we're using it in the present tense, I and be becomes I am. Oh, in spoken English, I'm. But sometimes we don't teach you that because we already have to explain a lot of things about this chunk. With this chunk, the biggest problem is with the preposition, that is to, because prepositions don't carry much meaning, and it seems that in each language, we use a different preposition in the same structure. So often, the preposition is wrong. What are the typical mistakes with this? You might hear something like, I am addicted to. There's no mistake in this, but it just sounds unnatural because I am, it's not contracted. So I'm addicted to, I'm addicted to. Sounds a lot more natural than I am addicted to, but it's not a mistake. The big problem with this chunk usually comes with the preposition, because which preposition do you use? So sometimes students might say, I'm addicted for, I'm addicted from. They just use the wrong preposition, and it's common in this structure. The preposition is wrong. And the to here is not an infinitive particle, it's a preposition. Again, we will come to this later because it affects what comes after it. But you might be thinking, I didn't have to, it's just one chunk. Do I have to do that with everything in English? Well, yes and no, but there are a lot of chunks like I didn't have to. They work in the same way. Let's have a look at some. So here, all these chunks, they work in the same way. Notice that person, if it works with the type 2, it doesn't change. It doesn't matter who's doing the action or not doing the action in this case. There's no change in didn't. I didn't, she didn't, we didn't, they didn't, it didn't, etc. And want to, need to, agree to, choose to, promise to, all work in the same way as have to. I didn't want to, she didn't need to, we didn't agree to, they didn't choose to, I didn't promise to. Not only that, but we know what comes after to. In this case, it's a type 1. So we can add any type 1 action after to. So I didn't want to read a book. I didn't want to go to the supermarket. I didn't want to talk to her. Let's have a look at some more type 1 actions. Okay, so, well, I didn't have to buy food. I didn't want to go to the cinema. She didn't need to cook for us. So you can see that after to, you just add the type 1. I could use the same action after all these chunks. So let's take, I didn't have to buy food. Let's use the action buy food. I could say, I didn't want to buy food. She didn't need to buy food. We didn't agree to buy food. They didn't choose to buy food. I didn't promise to buy food. All perfectly good sentences. No grammar with this chunk. Let's just be very practical with it. So we got this chunk, I'm addicted to. There's basically two parts. There's the part that changes and the part that is fixed. So addicted to is the fixed part. But if we change the person who we're referring to, then that part changes. So the original chunk was I'm addicted to. Let's change it to you. And we go from I'm to you're addicted to. So your is how we say you are, you're addicted to. If we change it to Lucy, then it would be she's addicted to. Change it to Tom, he's addicted to. Me and you, we're addicted to. And we were talking about other people, they're addicted to. Remember, I didn't have to. The to there was something called a infinitive particle. The to in I'm addicted to is preposition. And it matters, well, it doesn't really matter because you don't really need to know it. You just need to know what comes after it. So it does affect how you extend this chunk. So I'm addicted to takes a type 4. So you need like an ing. Yeah? I'm addicted to going to the park. I'm addicted to dancing, etc. Let's look at some examples. I'm addicted to drinking coffee. I need coffee every morning. You're addicted to listening to English. She's addicted to shopping online. He's addicted to drinking alcohol. We're addicted to watching TV. They're addicted to playing at the casino. Very bad addiction. I much rather drinking coffee. And if we look a little bit deeper, so we can add this type 4 after I'm addicted to, after to, because it's a preposition. But the ing form, the type 4 form here, it's nothing to do with the continuous. It's not like I'm listening to music. It has a different function here. It's basically a noun. So here you can see you're addicted to listening to English. I could just simply say, you're addicted to English. Tom's addicted to drinking alcohol. Tom's addicted to alcohol. You can just use the noun, but drinking alcohol in this place is kind of like a noun. It describes the action that's happening. It's not about the action, it describes the action. It's a name for the action. I'm addicted to this the adjective preposition. Very common pattern in English. There's probably hundreds of pieces of language like this. So you understand how this one chunk works. You can use it with other chunks. Let's have a look at some other chunks that are similar to I'm addicted to. So you're committed to. I hope you're committed to learning English. Be fond of. In this case, she's fond of watching TV. Fascinated by, or be fascinated by. He's fascinated by quantum mechanics. We're famous for making really good coffee. So the to, the of, the by, the for, the about, they're all prepositions. They all can take this type for afterwards, or they take a noun. They work in the same way. If I put it in the negative, it would be the same. So I'm not addicted to drinking tea. You're not committed to learning Russian. She's not fond of cleaning up your mess, etc. And if you put it in the question form, they all work in the same way. So are you committed to learning English? Is she fond of watching TV? Is he fascinated by quantum mechanics, etc.? So you can understand one chunk and understand it in slightly different forms. You can transform it to other chunks as well. So you don't need to understand the grammar. You can just see the chunk in different forms. Think about it, see the pattern, try to use the pattern. That's the way to improve your spoken English. It's not the only way. I highly recommend that you take conversation lessons if improving your spoken English is one of your goals. Conversation lessons. If you want to get better at business English, then perhaps you need to be a bit more selective with your teacher. But this is, I think, one of the most effective way to practice by yourself, because not only can you make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, possibly thousands of sentences by yourself, you will also understand how English is structured. And by practicing, by getting your hands dirty, you will understand how English works so much better than if you just got it in your head. That's it for today. The grammar is in the chunk. Do you need to study grammar to speak better English? Absolutely not. The grammar is already there.